all the usual symptoms of a dire distress in a community actually have been able to be slowly are being absorbed, and that has not had quite the devastating impact there that we might have expected. And so we've seen some layoffs in Iowa, much less than the rest of the country, and so far we've been able to handle and to absorb those. And in fact, the workforce in Iowa continues to grow. Almost every month we get a new record numbers of people working, and incomes in Iowa are up, way up, and appear to be continuing to grow. Almost everybody's mentioned agriculture, but I'll point out that one of the strengths of our economy is the diversification of it. In fact, in terms of gross domestic product, agriculture is about 10%. Ranks about 10th. Manufacturing is many times larger than agriculture. Financial services many times larger than agriculture. Health, actually education, and our colleges and education in the state are a larger sector of our economy. And so we have a lot of diversification there. And also one of the things you wouldn't want to lose sight of is Iowa's export capacity. As the U.S. economy goes through whatever it's going to go through, the international economy hasn't turned down nearly as much. It isn't forecast to. And a lot of Iowa companies like Deere, like meat processors, we have a lot of companies in Iowa historically which do export. And the weak dollar has actually turned out to be a very stimulating thing for the Iowa economy. So at the rate that Iowa is being impacted today, the economy is adjusting, our companies are adjusting, and we're still doing strong.
When he was talking about personal growth on the income, the governor's office, I believe last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, somewhere in there, issued a statement how Iowa's economy the growth ranks at the top 10, and we're number 2 in the Midwest. So with that, is that a positive that the state and the incomes and the businesses can build upon?
That's a positive development, and somewhat reflects the strength of our agricultural market. Mike Tramontina touched on this. What's unique in Iowa right now is just a very strong export market. It's impacting several industries, not only agriculture, but manufacturing. And it's something that's unique even among some of our neighboring states, which are being classified by Moody's as at risk of slipping into a recession.
One of the things before I get to the next question, I've seen a couple file in. I want to recognize a few people that were with us today. We have Courtney Green from the governor's office. We have State Auditor Vaught. We have former Governor Bob Ray. And if I have missed somebody, I do apologize. Next question. Commerce Secretary Paulson yesterday announced a plan to overhaul the nation's financial regulations yesterday. Mr. Schucker, you heard Secretary Paulson speak a couple weeks ago, and the rest of the panel. How do you this plan? How will this impact Iowa?
Yes, I did hear Mr. Paulson speak 3 weeks ago, and then I read the headline article yesterday and this morning. He is making news. He came with a very broad-based, high-impact proposal that could potentially impact the entire financial services industry. He's proposing, or the administration is proposing, to consolidate all insurance, securities, and banking regulations under one agency. It's a pretty big project. And the proposal, I'm very confident, is going to hear resistance from the banking industry. We have a very sound regulatory system in place now. A bank in Iowa has the choice, first of all, of being either a state chartered bank, regulated by our state superintendent of banking, or a federally chartered bank, either nationally chartered, regulated by the Comptroller's Office, or regulated by, and all banks are regulated by the FDIC if they accept FDIC insured deposits. A community bank has the option of either being or not being a member of the Federal Reserve System. If we're a member, and our bank is a member of the Federal Reserve, so our federal regulator is the Chicago Fed. And each of the federal agencies does a very good job supervising commercial banks from the standpoint of safety and soundness. They all work together through an organization called Federal Financial Institutions Examining Council, FFIEC. They get their heads together. They're consistent as far as the policies and guidelines and actions from the safety and soundness standpoint as far as commercial banking. One aspect of lending that has been overlooked, that is starting to gain attention is the supervision and regulation of independent residential mortgage brokers. That has been the source of a lot of the problem that we're seeing in the mortgage, so-called mortgage crisis. A lot of these originators have been independent, freelance people that write mortgages, do not invest in the funding of the mortgage, but they do a deal, put a mortgage in place, and then sell it to an unwary investor. And a lot of these mortgages have been pooled into various forms of securities, sold into the market nationally, worldwide. And now we're seeing these kinds of investments are what we're reading about every day in the huge write-downs. UBS this morning announced, what, $12 or $15 billion write-down. The CEO is gone. Citibank wrote down $30 billion. I mean, these are huge numbers that are happening. And a lot of that has been originated by independent mortgage brokers doing deals to finance highly speculative, highly overvalued residential real estate property, and fortunately not in Iowa. Most of this has been in other markets, Southwest Florida, California, Arizona. Speaking of Secretary Paulson, when I heard him speak, he used an illustration that Bakersfield, California, in 1 year saw an average home value increase of 121%. It's more than doubling the average home value of one market in California. And we've been fortunate in Iowa that we've not seen that kind of a rapid run on home prices, and so we're going to be comforted by not having the rapid fall off of average home prices, which is causing a lot of home mortgage problems that we're reading about.
Anyone else? We've kind of touched on this briefly here in some of our opening statements. We've talked about economic development a little bit. And Governor Culver has discussed the green economy in the last, basically, in the State of the Union, or State of the Condition of the State address this year, starting with last year when he took office. It continues to grow. Thousands of new jobs in the wind industry, renewable fuels industry. We've heard Microsoft, the rumblings that they could be coming to central Iowa. With everything that's going, is economic development going to continue to flourish in Iowa?
I think it is, and it was a hallmark part of his Governor Culver and Lieutenant Governor Judge's budget proposal for fiscal year 2009. They continued full funding of the Grow Iowa Values Fund. They continued putting $25 million in the Iowa Power